Hi, everyone. I am Mrs. Glaros, your child's fourth grade teacher this year. I thought I would send out a recording of me going through the slides in case anyone prefers to listen to me explaining the information instead of reading it themselves. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I always like to start with a little bit about me. I talk about these things with the class, so you'll probably hear about some of them at home. I received my degree and credential from Sonoma State University. I grew up and lived in San Jose my whole life, went to Sonoma for school, and then came back to the Bay Area. This is my fifth year at Brookville and my fifth year teaching fourth grade, and it's my absolute favorite grade. We see a lot of growth with students this year, and they really start to learn how to tackle lots of challenging concepts. I love to bake cupcakes. I am baking quite often. Some of these pictures are some cupcakes that I have made for the staff. I love giving cupcakes to people and just putting them in the staff room for everyone to enjoy. I have two cats. I have RJ. He's 14 years old. He's my orange tabby cat that I've had since high school. And then my husband and I adopted our cat Valentina a year ago. Well, not quite a year ago. We adopted her in January, but she is a year old now. RJ lives with my parents. He's a family cat. Valentina, we also call her Tino. She lives with my husband and I celebrated my first wedding anniversary in July. Amongst all the midst of chaos of COVID and everything, we were still able to have our wedding, which was very awesome. We were very fortunate. And I love being invited to student activities outside of school. So if your child has a dance recital, piano recital, a sports game, anything that they do outside of school, I would be more than happy to come attend and watch as long as my schedule allows me to. So if your child wants me to be at any event they are participating in, I would love to know about it. Communication, the best way to communicate with me is through Class Dojo. That's going to be the easiest and quickest way to get in contact with me. I tend to post most of our updates on there, and I do like to share photos and videos of things going on in the class. You may also choose to email me. There is my email on this slide. I do tend to respond to Class Dojo a little bit faster because I just have it on my phone. It's kind of like text messaging. I can kind of send a quick message back. I don't tend to check my email until the mornings when I get to school or at the end of school. So if you want something more immediate, I recommend Class Dojo. I do think almost everyone is connected, which is great on Class Dojo. I'm usually able to respond within 24 hours. If for whatever reason I do not get back to you, please just reach out again. Sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. And also, in person on campus, please refrain from stopping by the classroom unannounced. This is just mostly because, one, I live in South San Jose and I commute, so sometimes I like to try to beat some of the heavy traffic. So sometimes I'm usually out the door with the class, but I'm also on a lot of committees this year, so I have lots of meetings that I go to after school. So I just don't want you to come running up to me wanting to talk with me and I'm in the middle of leaving or going to some meeting. So if you can at least just give me a heads up that you want to meet with me, I'll confirm that the time and day works for me, and then we can meet that way. So just reach out to me if you have any plans or are wanting to meet with me. Homework and assignments in fourth grade. Per district policy, fourth graders are allotted 0 to 40 minutes of homework a night. So some nights they might have no homework, other nights they might have up to 40 minutes. Most of students' homework is consisted of unfinished classwork, so any math pages that they're working on, any grammar related writing stuff, reading responses, essay type things. So anything that's not finished in class is sent home for homework. If your child is coming home with a lot of homework, it is probably because they are not using their time well in class. And I will reach out to you if I do feel like that is a problem. We haven't completed the iReady diagnostic yet, which will level students based on their skills in reading and math. But once we complete the diagnostic, students will have 30 minutes of math minutes and 30 minutes of reading minutes in iReady each week. iReady is a great tool for filling in little gaps that students might be missing in their in their educational backgrounds. And there is also a strong correlation with how students perform on iReady and how they do on state testing. So I do think iReady is very important, and I've seen a lot of improvements with students through it as well. So in total, they'll have 60 minutes of iReady each week, but they can easily break that down into smaller chunks. I always have some students that get it all done on the first day, or some choose to spread it through the rest of the week. It is up to your child. Please contact me if your child is having difficulties completing assignments. So if it's taking them more than the 40 minutes, please let me know, and we can work something out. And I have sent this out in email and have posted on Class Dojo, but daily assignment postings can be found on our class website. You could also find it by going through the staff directory on the Brookvale website. If you find my name, there'll be a www link you can click on, and there'll be a subheading called Daily Homework Post. There I post all possible assignments students have worked on in class. Your child may have already been finished with it and turned it in, but just so you can keep track of what your child is working on in class, what assignments they might have, it's always posted there for you. If for some reason you don't see it posted, please let me know and I'll get it up as soon as I can. A brief overview of our curriculum for ELA, which consists of reading and writing. Some main focuses in fourth grade are main ideas and summarizing, inferencing, integrating information from two texts, and vocabulary development. In fourth grade, students are now shifting away from learning to read to reading to learn. So there is oftentimes a big adjustment for many students because our texts become a lot more complex, with higher vocabulary, more difficult topics that we're reading about. So it is common for us to see some slips in comprehension skills. So it is really important that students are continuing to read at school. For writing, we are really focusing on writing 5 paragraph essays, strong essays, and we focus on narratives, informational, and opinion essays, the basic 3 that most people know about. For math, our key focuses are place value, multiplication, division, fractions, measurement, and geometry. I would really, really like to stress that your child knows their multiplication facts. It is very important. The unfortunate truth is, if your child does not know their multiplication facts, they are going to struggle in every single math unit this year. Once we move on from our multiplication unit and we go to division, if they don't know their facts, they're going to have a hard time with division. With fractions, we multiply fractions. There's some multiplication skills in measurement and geometry. So if your child does not know their multiplication facts, they're going to be getting answers incorrect. Even if they know how to set up the problem, if they don't know their facts, they're not going to be getting the correct answer. So please make sure your child knows their facts. In history, we focus all on California history, so like California landforms, missions, Native Americans, gold rush, and state government. This is our grading scale. The district switched to standards-based grading a few years ago. Our goal is for students to be at a 3, which means meeting standards or at grade level expectations. A 3 means your child is showing that they know exactly what they need to know for that standard or that skill in 4th grade. So if your child has 3s, that is great. It shows that they are understanding what they are doing. A 4, exceed standards or mastery. Those are for students. And like I say to students, I don't give 4s, they earn them. But 4s are for students who are really going above and beyond, not just doing the bare minimum, but really showing that they truly know what we are learning about and talking about in class. It is not uncommon for students to have 1s or 2s at the beginning of the year. So if during our parent-teacher conference in November, if you see any 1s or 2s, please don't stress out too much about them. The purpose of standards-based grading is to show growth. And the 1s or 2s give us a good idea of what your child needs to work on for the rest of the year. So don't stress out too much about trimester 1 grades. It's just going to be a good baseline for you to see and for me to see what needs to be worked on. With that said, there will be progress reports sent home. I think it's end of September. So if your child is receiving 1s or 2s in any areas, you will be able to kind of have a heads up with that before final report cards. Expectations. Brookvale, we adopted PBIS this year, and PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral. Oh gosh, sorry. Let me rewind. Positive behavior intervention and support. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a quick second. And so PBIS, and I'll be talking about this in just a moment, but we have 5 positively stated core values, and it makes up the acronym BRAVE. So you might be hearing students mentioning how Brookville Broncos are brave on campus, and what these letters stand for. B is for be kind. R is respectful, A is accountable, V is value integrity, and E is everyone is safe. On our report card, your child will be graded on these expectations in the classroom. So, exhibit self-control. Are they respecting others? Do they demonstrate cooperation? Do they follow directions? And do they complete tasks in a timely manner? So, Brookville Broncos are brave. That is our school-wide expectations, versus the standards on the report card are ones that the district is looking for in students. So that is what they will be graded on, not the BRAVE, but they'll be graded on the FUSD report card expectations. This is our schedule. For the most part, our schedule stays the same all throughout the year, every day, with some minor changes here and there if there's assemblies, things like that. We do have prep every single day from 8:30 to 9:15. But other than that, our schedule is pretty consistent. On Wednesdays, we do have library to end the day, so students will be dismissed from library on Wednesdays. And I don't expect you to memorize the schedule, but if you want to save it for yourself, I do encourage families to kind of plan appointments around our schedule with things that you don't think will be a big deal for your child to miss. Supplies for this year. The only personal supplies students will need to purchase this year is a binder with binder dividers. And I also highly recommend students have a pair of headphones, non-Bluetooth ones that can plug into their Chromebooks that they can use at school. I do have a whole class set of headphones, but they are extremely large and bulky and not very comfortable. So I really encourage students to bring ones that they would feel comfortable with at school. And the reason why we as a 4th grade team are providing all necessary supplies, the reason why students only needed to buy a binder and binder dividers. Over the past few years, we've been having a lot of issues with students bringing their personal supplies that are very special, like special pens, pencils, things like that. They end up getting stolen out of backpacks or desks, or they start causing arguments in class about who's sharing what or who's borrowing what. So to kind of alleviate some of that stress or concern, we as a 4th grade team, me and Miss Updegraff, my 4th grade team member, we are just going to provide everything students need. So they will have everything they need in class. They don't need any extra materials at school. Our class is doing flexible seating, which means we have no assigned seats. We have different chair and desk alternatives. We also have standing desks. Some other chair alternatives we have are yoga balls, wobble stools. I have wobble cushions to put on chairs. We have sit pads for students to sit around the floor, lap desks, everything. I really love flexible seating, and I'll go over some of the benefits of it. It increases engagement, and it gives students the power of choice. So they get to sit and work with who they want to sit and work with. And that kind of helps students take ownership of their work, and it helps them stay more engaged. And it helps keeps minds alert and focused, especially for my friends that like to wiggle a lot in their seats. If they're using a yoga ball or a wobble stool, they're constantly being able to move, but in an appropriate way, which is great for them. Flexible seating also provides comfort, and it helps to build community with taking turns and sharing things in the classroom. Students signed a contract at the beginning of the year, on the first day of school, actually. And I have the right to move students at any point. So if your child chooses to sit with their best friend and they're just talking and not getting work done, I have the right to separate them or help them pick a better spot to work, so that way they can get their work done. So not letting students get away with things, but they are learning to make choices that are best for them. And it is kind of fun because I'm already seeing students making good choices for themselves, like getting up and moving to a different spot if they are getting distracted with the people around them. Field trips. At the moment, field trips are allowed according to the district. So me and Ms. Updegraff are working on planning at least one field trip. We are looking into some others as well. Field trips will most likely be held in the spring. The reason for this is because a lot of the field trips we are planning on doing are based on our history curriculum. So we want to make sure students can learn as much as they can about our history curriculum before we take them on the field trips. Plus, there's a lot of paperwork involved, so we just need some time to make sure that we have everything in order. So our goal is at least one field trip, possibly 2 or 3. We'll kind of see how our planning goes, but I will make sure I let everyone know. So as of now, field trips are allowed, but the district can change that at any point. Mrs. Elliott, our school principal, wanted me to share some slides about PBIS, which is what I kind of talked about earlier, is the new behavior system that we are implementing on our campus. And these are the big ideas about PBIS. It reduces the use of exclusionary and punitive strategies. It explicitly teaches and acknowledges the expected behaviors that we want to see on campus, in the classroom, anywhere. It focuses resources on building skills to help students succeed. So, really purposely and carefully teaching students the skills that are expected for them to have in the classroom, just overall helping them be a better human in general, helping to prepare them to be positive role models in our society, basically. So instead of punishing a student right away for one small thing that they did, we work with that student and explicitly teach and acknowledge what the expected behavior is. So the idea is that we're not like suspending students for a first time thing. We're giving them a chance to make sure that they know what that expected behavior is and give them time to show us that they do know how to show that behavior at school. We are doing a lot of social emotional learning, which is also known as SEL, in school. This year, we have a brand new curriculum, which so far has been super great. So SEL, some things that we'll be talking about in class are like goal setting, dealing with conflicts, handling your emotions. SEL and PBIS go together very well. Sorry, excuse me. So I'm going to focus on this blue bubble right here. SEL and PBIS are both rooted in the belief that students learn best in a safe and well-managed learning environment. So if students are feeling safe and students know the expectations in general, or in conclusion, they should feel ready to learn in their classroom. They'll feel comfortable, they'll feel safe. So that's the whole purpose of us doing SEL and PBIS. This, I'm not going to read it word for word, but you're welcome to pause or look at it at your own time in the slides that I sent out. But this is our matrix, which shows exactly what the expectations are for each place around campus. This is something I talk about with students very often, so they should be familiar with this. Some parts we haven't gotten to yet, like for example, we haven't gone to library, so we haven't talked about library expectations yet. But just know these are the expectations for our school. You will also see a lot of signage around campus with those expectations posted. One thing to note, PBIS does not ignore problem behavior. PBIS views appropriate consequences as those that are effective in changing the student's problem behavior. So with PBIS, we're not ignoring the issues that we're having on campus, but we are making sure that any consequences that a child receives, it's effective in helping them to change their behavior or make a positive change on campus. So just know we're not ignoring problem behavior, but we're just helping students to learn and change their behavior. Mrs. Elliott also wanted us to share some volunteer opportunities. We are in need of noon supervisors. There are paid or volunteer opportunities. We do need a parent volunteer for school site council or our ELAC committee. That is an elected position. School site council kind of goes over our school's goals, which is our SIPSA plan and any funding. So you would have some say in that. We do need a PBIS parent member. We do have a monthly meeting. I am on the PBIS team, and we would love to have some parent feedback on things that we're implementing on campus. So again, reach out to Mrs. Elliott if you're interested. You are more than welcome to join the PTA, and I highly encourage it. You can volunteer for a position, or you could even just choose to help with PTA events throughout the year. I know they are working on planning a few things for our school. So keep a lookout for that. If you haven't joined PTA, I highly encourage you. They do lots of great things for our school. And last but not least, classroom volunteers. Right now, the district is allowing one volunteer per classroom, like each day, or one volunteer at a time, I should say. At the moment, I don't know if I need a classroom volunteer, but I will make sure that I let you know if any of that changes. For any of these volunteer opportunities, minus the classroom volunteer, please contact Mrs. Elliott and she can give you more information. And that concludes the presentation. So if you have any questions at all, please email me or message me on Class Dojo, and I would be more than happy to respond. Thanks for watching through this. As always, if you need anything, please reach out and I will get back to you as soon as I can.